Hey, welcome everyone. We're so glad you're here. We're going to give folks a minute to join here and then we will jump right in. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat and we will jump to try to answer you. Just give folks another 30 seconds to join and we will aspire to start right on time. I have a few folks still joining. Welcome everyone. So much fun to be here and hoping you're having a great morning. Okay, we're right on the hour. So our recording has started. I know we often get those questions. Is the meeting being recorded? Will we share the materials? Absolutely. Either later today or tomorrow, we will send out the slides and a recording from this call. And we'll also share information very quickly here on how you can reach us with any follow-up questions. So we do have time saved at the end. If anything comes up in the meantime, just drop a note in it in the chat for us and we'll let you know. And then just take a little note, webadmin@iyfglobal.org is a way that you can reach us and we will, whether substantive or technical questions, do our best to get back to you promptly. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Christina Sass, the President and CEO of the International Youth Foundation.
Hi, everybody. Mic check. Kelly, am I good to go?
Yeah, sorry, I had
Okay,
muted myself.
got
I
it.
was trying to respond
Hi,
to you, but
all.
muted. Yes, you're good.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm Christina Sass. I'm the president and CEO of the International Youth Foundation, and I am so glad that you're here. Really looking forward to telling you about how we work with partners around the world to meaningfully connect young people with specific marketable economic opportunities. So first, I want to start off and just tell you a little bit about the International Youth Foundation. Today, 65 million young people are unemployed. 260 million are not in employment, education, or training. And this is unacceptable to us. Most of them, the chance of landing their first job has very little to do with their merit, their skill, or their ambition. And we believe and see evidence every single day that there's only one truly sustainable way to equip young people to address the challenges that they face, whether it's poverty, hunger, violence, climate change, job displacement from AI, and that is a consistent paycheck. Market driven skills and the opportunity to practice and build on those skills over a lifetime. So, equipping youth with the right skills and connecting them to good jobs is the single most effective and sustainable way to move the most vulnerable people out of poverty and for at risk youth to address nearly every other challenge that they face. And that is what really leads to that fulfilling life that they can choose for themselves. And yet, for far too many young people, this is still left to chance. In a world of unprecedented technological advances and speed, access to information, we're still failing to connect young people to work. We know that by giving people cash directly sometimes delivers real outcomes, immediate poverty relief, better small business performance, or improved health, for example. Cash does work in many instances, but it does not build that labor market pipeline. It does not get ministries of education, school systems, employers to coordinate clear pathways to real jobs. So globally, we have to face and acknowledge that we're still falling short at building the systems that connect youth to viable job markets at scale. In IYF's 35-year history, we have reached more than 15 million youth with job readiness programs and pathways to employment tailored to their local labor markets. And we have three ways that we do this work: research, tool development, and program design and implementation. We've worked in every continent with partners ranging from major local employers to local governments to education systems. We are extremely proud of this long track record of success, and we really want partners that are learning with us, that will share insights and learnings that we've gleaned over these 35 years of experience. So, in today's webinar, we're going to share more about one of our key insights that job readiness is more than the technical skills needed to do that job. So when we hear the term job readiness, When people generally hear job readiness, they often think about resumes, interviews, or specific technical training. And of course, those things are important. But at IYF, we believe we see evidence every day that job readiness is much bigger than that. It is transferable life skills, human skills, and preparing for the specific job. So the reality is that employers consistently tell us that they need many of the skills that they struggle to find, that many of those real pain points for them are not technical skills. They are communication, teamwork, problem solving, adaptability, emotional regulation, and leadership skills generally. These are the skills that help someone succeed, not just in getting a job, but keeping a job and being successful in that job once they land it, growing in it, and navigating the changing labor market. So that's why our approach starts with life skills. Through programs like Passport to Success, young people are building the capabilities such as higher order thinking, interpersonal skills, and a positive mindset. And these skills are transferable. They matter whether someone works in hospitality, logistics, manufacturing, or starting their own business. And young people have them, they can take them wherever they go. So, true job readiness also means helping young people understand the world of work and connect to real opportunities. That includes career exploration, workplace expectations, professional communication, and also interviewing, networking, mentorship, work experience, and employer connections. So, young people need both the confidence to navigate professional settings and the pathways that allow them to access specific viable opportunities. One of the things that we've learned at IYF is that training in isolation rarely creates lasting outcomes. Young people are most successful when life skill development is combined with career readiness and direct pathways to employment. And that's why our programs focus on both sides of the equation, building the whole person and preparing them for a specific job. So, to talk more about how we build job readiness in youth, I'm going to turn it over to my amazing colleague, Hudith. Hudith is a senior program manager at IYF, and she is going to tell you a lot more about Passport to Success. Hudith, over to you.
Thank you, Christina. I'm excited to share a little more about how we do this work at IYF. Our flagship life skills development program is called Passport to Success, or PTS, and we often refer to it as our secret sauce because we integrate PTS into many of the youth programs alongside technical and digital skills training. PTS is a series of in-person, group-based learning sessions led by a trained facilitator. Each lesson follows a four-step process: generating interest in the topic, sharing information, participating in a group activity, and engaging in personal reflection. Every lesson focuses on a specific life skills and follow this structure to help participants experience those important aha moments. The full PTS curriculum includes 103 lessons organized into 6 core units and 2 optional units. The 6 core units are personal competencies, problem solving and conflict management, healthy behaviors, effective work habits, financial education, and service learning. And the 2 optional units are entrepreneurship skills and skills for professional growth in the workplace. Because the curriculum is designed to be modular, each lesson has its own learning objective and can be delivered independently or combined with other lessons. This flexibility allows organizations to adapt PTS into different schedules, program lengths, and participants' needs, while still meeting their specific goals. The model is rooted in the principles of constructivist education, which recognizes that young people are not empty vessels waiting to be filled with information. Instead, they learn by connecting new ideas to their own experiences and reflecting on those experiences to build understanding. Because of this approach, the role of the teacher shifts from being the expert who delivers information to becoming a facilitator of learning. In a typical PTS session, direct instruction represents no more than about 20% of the lesson. The remaining time is dedicated to hands-on activities, discussions, collaboration, and reflection. A PTS lesson may include role plays, group challenges, debates, small group discussions, presentations, and other interactive activities. We also intentionally create an environment that promotes participation and collaboration through strategies such as circular setting arrangement, rotating roles, and game-based exercises that keep learners engaged. At the same time, we carefully consider the level of emotional and personal risk involved in each topic. Our goal is to create safe spaces where young people feel comfortable exploring new ideas, sharing experiences, and reflecting on their own journey toward adulthood. All these elements come together to create an educational experience that engages not only the minds of young people and educators, but also their emotions, their relationships, and lived experiences. That is what we call experiential learning. At IYF, we believe that life skills cannot be developed through theory alone. It is not enough to memorize definitions or talk about concepts like leadership, empathy, resilience, teamwork in the abstract. To truly develop those skills, people need opportunities to practice them in a safe environment. They need to experience what happens in their thoughts, their emotions, their behaviors, their decision making as they use those skills. And just as importantly, they also need time to reflect afterward on those experiences. Reflection helps participants identify the skills they practice, put a name on it, understand why it matters, and recognize how can it be applied in different situations. Over time, the skills become part of their personal toolbox. This process of learning and ownership is complex. It goes far beyond simply offering a class on leadership or teamwork. It requires intentionally designing both the learning experience and the support systems around it to create meaningful growth. That is why PTS is much more than just a curriculum. It includes several key components that help ensure quality and consistency across implementation. Comprehensive training for all PTS facilitators. Coaching and support from peers, but also from experienced trainers throughout the implementations. Monitoring and evaluation process that support continuous improvement. An international certification process that connects practitioners to the broader global PTS community. PTS incorporates many of the world's leading practices in life skills education and reflects more than 2 decades of IYF's experience designing, testing, refining, and implementing life skills training in a wide variety of contexts across more than 50 countries. And hearing participants talk about PTS, just like in the quote that you are reading now, is one of the reasons why personally I love working with PTS. In the day-to-day work of the programs, you realize how participants connect with this methodology. In a recent focus group that we had with some participants, they joked with us about every situation they face in their lives, there's a PTS lessons that explain it. And it's really encouraging to hear comments like that. So now that you've learned a little more about Passport to Success, I'd like to hand it over to my colleague Ed Mari, a Deputy Program Director at IYF, who will share with you how PTS is being applied into some of our programs around the world.
Thank you so much, Judith. As she mentioned, I'm going to share 2 examples of PTS in action. One example is Youth Opportunity, a global initiative led by IYF and funded by McDonald's Corporation. The goal was simple: reduce barriers to employment for young people ages 16 to 24. As one of the largest employers of young people, McDonald's recognized a significant workforce need with more than 100,000 unfilled positions in the US at the time. The company also saw an opportunity to expand economic opportunity for youth. To address both goals, McDonald's sought a global partner with a proven youth employability curriculum that could be delivered through local community-based organizations. And IYF brought more than 2 decades of workforce development experience along with Passport to Success, or PTS, as you'll hear it referred. The challenge we wanted to address was not a lack of talent or a lack of ambition among young people. Rather, many young people lacked access to opportunities that would help them develop and demonstrate the workplace skills employers seek. And what are employers looking for? As Christina mentioned earlier, they consistently seek young people who can communicate effectively, work well with others, solve problems, and adapt to changing environments. Through PTS, IYF helped bridge the gap by equipping young people with these very skills. PTS served as a foundation of the initiative with a curriculum that was co-designed with the funder and tailored to the skills employers consistently value most. The Youth Opportunity PTS manual included 32 carefully selected lessons organized into 3 units: personal competencies, job search skills, and workplace success. Each unit building on each other and supporting youth participants' progression from personal development to workplace readiness. But that's not all. While PTS was the anchor, participants also gained direct exposure to workforce through career panels, networking events, and job fairs. And they had opportunities to practice leadership skills through initiatives such as the Youth Opportunity Ambassadors Program and Global Youth Council, strengthening their confidence, decision-making skills, and sense of agency. Together, these experiences equipped young people with the skills and the confidence needed not only to secure employment, but to also thrive in the workplace. The results: more than 19,000 young people participated in the Youth Opportunity Initiative in the US alone. Participants not only strengthened their employability skills, but they also expanded their professional networks, gained exposure to career pathways, and increased their confidence in pursuing employment opportunities. What's more impressive, in employer survey results, 50% of the employers surveyed reported being more satisfied with the performance of youth opportunity participants than with employees who had not completed the program. These outcomes were recently recognized in a peer-reviewed article that was published in the Journal of Youth Development. An external evaluation of the Youth Opportunity Initiative examined participants' experience in the program. Findings suggest that many participating youth developed and applied life skills, strengthened leadership qualities, and in many cases expanded their perceptions of possible career paths and professional roles they had not previously considered. While the study identified perceived growth across multiple life skills domains, communication skills emerged as the most prominent area of development. Participants, employers, and community-based organization staff consistently described improvements in communication-related skills, and the findings suggest that these skills supported youth's transition to employment and their ability to navigate workplace environments. So the takeaway: a major corporation identified a workforce challenge and partnered with IYF to develop an approach that connected young people to workforce preparation centered on life skills. The result: young people who were ready to enter, navigate, and succeed in today's job market, and employer satisfaction as well, as you can see in the quote above. Our second example comes from Latin America. Through Jóvenes con Entrega, IYF partnered with FedEx and national education systems to prepare young people for careers in the logistics sector, one of the region's fastest growing industries. FedEx is actively expanding and strengthening its presence in Latin America, and with that growth comes an increasing need for skilled, work-ready talent. But scaling a workforce is not an easy task. Employers report persistent gaps in the soft and life skills that are essential for success in fast-paced operational environments. At the same time, thousands of young people are seeking meaningful career opportunities, yet many of them lack access to training that reflects the reality of today's logistics industry. The challenge then is not simply preparing young people for jobs, it's preparing them for what employers actually need. So Jóvenes con Entrega responded with an integrated program model. First, technical logistics training was paired with PTS, helping participants strengthen communication, teamwork, problem solving, and workplace readiness. Second, the program was embedded directly into vocational schools and national training systems, formalizing life skills development into students' learning plans. Third, employers were engaged throughout the process to ensure that training remained aligned with labor market trends and real job opportunities. Today, the impact continues to grow. More than 50,000 young people have participated in Jóvenes con Entrega across Latin America. In 2025 alone, nearly 18,700 youth completed PTS training. The program has certified 168 teachers to deliver the curriculum, strengthening long-term sustainability within education systems. And among logistics cohorts, completion rates reached an impressive 97.9%. The model has also expanded geographically into Colombia and El Salvador and is now informing new workforce pathways beyond logistics. What makes this case especially important is its recognition that workforce development serves two customers: young people looking for jobs and employers looking for talent. Success came from meeting the needs of both. And as one graduate shared, Jóvenes con Entrega is a program that gives you the tools to move easily from theory to professional practice. In closing, the common thread among both examples was PTS. In one, it was paired with career exposure opportunities to help young people explore career possibilities and overcome barriers to employment. In the other, it was paired with logistics training to prepare young people for in-demand careers. Despite addressing different challenges, both cases point to the same conclusion. Life skills help young people translate opportunity into employment. Thank you for the chance to share a few examples of PTS in action. Now I'm going to hand it over to Linda Gomez de la Vega, Program Manager at IYF, to share the evidence behind the approach.
Thank you so much, Mari. So we have talked about why job readiness matters and what PTS is and what it looks like in practice. And I'd like to step back a little bit and share what 2 decades of implementation, 50 countries actually have taught us, and why PTS actually works. We've learned many lessons along the way, but there are 4 that stand out, and I would like to share with you. The first one is that PTS works because it puts young people at the heart of the experience. Too often we create programs that are based on what is lacking, on the deficit. But PTS starts from a different place. It recognizes and builds on what young people already have: their strengths, their experience, resilience, aspiration, and capacity to grow. And the skills that they develop through PTS allows them to start believing in themselves. And then something truly, truly shifts. Time after time, project after project, we have seen how young people gain hope, connection, confidence, and a greater sense of agency over their lives. And that's where growth begins. It starts at a personal level. The second lesson is that PTS works because it builds the transferable skills that education systems value, and as Mari said, what employers really need. Technical skills and access to opportunities contribute to success, yes, but life skills are the foundation. PTS not only helps young people build the skills that help them get hired, but it helps them thrive. It helps them stand out. It helps them be recognized for how they perform and how they show up, which has led to sustainable jobs and in many cases, even promotions. So it allows them to continue growing throughout their lives. And technology will continue to change, and new jobs will emerge. We know that. There are some jobs that don't even exist that will be created in 2030. But the ability to learn, to adapt, to communicate, to collaborate, and lead will always matter. So that's why PTS doesn't prepare young people only for the first job, but it actually prepares young people for what comes next. And on this same note, PTS helps strengthen the talent pipeline by connecting that personal development that I shared on the first lesson with the economic opportunity. The third lesson we have learned is that PTS works because it strengthens systems, not just the individual. And one of the things that we hear over and over from our partners and also young people is that PTS methodology changes the learning environment itself. Facilitators begin to engage young people and teach differently, more positively. Classrooms become more participatory. Young people have more opportunities to practice, to reflect, and apply what they are learning. So I think PTS can strengthen systems not only by reaching individual learners, but by building community, being more than a curriculum or a program, and helping institutions create spaces where life skills are practiced consistently over time. And fourth, PTS adapts across countries, cultures, and industries because human skills do travel. One of the most remarkable lessons from these 2 decades are how PTS work in very different settings. PTS can be delivered under a tree, literally, in green spaces, or in a training and vocational institution's classroom. It can be part of a company's human resources training or as part of programs like the great examples that you heard today. We have seen it succeed in workforce programs, in manufacturing and hospitality, in technology and retail, and in communities around the world. And a young person in Peru, yes, may need different technical skills than a young person in South Africa, in Mexico, Brazil, or the United States. But all of them benefit from confidence, resilience, communication, teamwork, and the ability to keep learning. The way the curriculum is designed allows for that flexibility and contextualization, as Judith was explaining. So PTS translates across cultures and contexts. It develops the foundational skills that help young people succeed anywhere and regardless of where they live or what career pathway they choose. And in summary, what I would like to share, it's a bit of my personal lesson. I have been privileged to receive training with PTS. I have talked to young people that have shared their experience with PTS. I have talked to the funders and our partners, and they attest to why PTS works. It's not only the individual, it's not only the classroom, is how it also changes systems and connects personal growth to economic opportunities. And I'm going to pass it over now to, I believe it's Hood.
Christina is going to wrap us up, Linda.
Christina.
Thank you so much, Linda, Judith, and Edmari. This is just a reflection of the true reach. And when we say, I mean, it is hard to scale things from culture to culture. We've really honed in on a thing that does. And so this is just remarkable to be able to really see the breadth and the reach of where we've deployed Passport to Success. And just to underscore, we've done it in person, we've done it online, we've done it under a tree. And there's no way to deploy in all these countries without all of the different languages involved as well. And so just to say, there's an insight here in how this was originally developed that really does meet young people where they are, put them at the center, and allow us to unlock their potential for job readiness and for their career path. And with that, I just want to say, I just want to close by saying I've had the opportunity very recently in Mexico City to sit down with uh, recent graduates that went through the Passport to Success curriculum, as well as master trainers and some of the trainers that are in the classroom or in the youth center deploying this. And it was truly extraordinary. I want to underscore one thing that Hudith said, which is this idea of, we often think of teachers as like a young person comes in as an empty vessel and we fill them with, math, science, logistics training, manufacturing training, whatever it is. And that is just not the reality, especially of the most disadvantaged and at-risk youth. They are coming in with all kinds of, thoughts, feelings, things about the transitions in their life, desires and hopes. And PTS acknowledges that and looks at it as one of their greatest strengths, right? Really to meet them where they are and then go from there to unlock this. We heard so many things that from trainers and from teachers about why this methodology works, and that's in part why we wanted to share it with you today. So I think Ed Mari mentioned the Juventudes program. We literally have young people on the wait list right now to be able to receive this training, and we want to learn together. We always want to constantly improve. So yes, there are real nuggets of wisdom here, and we're like constantly want to learn and deploy this in new and better ways, which is why we want to go out to our community, share these learnings, hear what you are learning, and invite you into a conversation with us. So. Please help us improve upon this and share learnings. And Kelly, over to you for questions.
Yeah, we do have some questions coming in. You all should have a Q&A option in your bottom toolbar to type in questions that I will address to our team. And if you think of anything later, you can either send an email to webadmin@iyfglobal.org or use the contact form on the URL that you see on screen right now. Christina, I am going to kick the first question to you here. We have an excellent and nuanced question, which goes beyond PTS specifically into like our work at IYF as a whole. So congrats on the impact of the program. Thank you. I would like to know, how are you addressing the usage and learning of AI for job readiness? I know that the skills you share are relevant across industries, but considering the context we're seeing of layoffs and huge AI investments, what kind of signals are you receiving and how are you sharing them with youth? And sorry for the long question is the last note, but I actually appreciate the nuanced, thoughtful question here. It's an excellent question. So Christina, tell us about AI.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so we're flying at multiple altitudes with this question. The first one is that despite the sort of massive anxiety and fear, we are not seeing across the board job elimination. That's not to say that it's not changing, right? But I would say in manufacturing, in logistics, where there was initially a fear, oh my goodness, are we all going to be replaced? It's not happening as fast as we are seeing. And so we're in close contact with the major employers in industry. What are you changing? How are you changing? And so we are staying very close to how they are thinking about that, where they see that jobs might be eliminated in that partnership. We also, all of us, have a tool belt of technology skills that AI needs to be a part of, every young person included. And so we are meeting young people where they are in entry-level AI training. Yes, this is relevant to you. Yes, it is relevant to your career path. Here are specific ways you can be employing it. And also teachers and school administrators. How are you using this to make your lives easier and also, stay abreast? So we got to meet systems where they are. And grapple with what the changes might be that are coming. We cannot abandon young people wherever they are right now. And so with that message that you must have AI in your toolbox and in the capabilities of AI, it's not a moment in time. It needs to be a part of your tool belt that you are going to, flex and use consistently. And then also at that different altitude, saying, how is it going to impact careers and how can we be a partner to major employers as they evolve and change?
Thank you, Christina. We've got more questions coming in. So Eric, and I apologize if I'm accenting this incorrectly, Saforo or Saforo is saying, I am a PTC master or PTS master trainer. Used it in Ghana to engage over 5,000 young people in 2017 and found it very helpful. Eric would love to hear, and I think Hudith maybe is the best person, but anyone, what has changed in the last 5 to 10 years? How have we modernized the curriculum over time to keep it current? So Hudith, I'm going to start with you, but Linda and Mari, if you'd like to join in, please do.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Eric. It's always so nice to reconnect and see how is everybody or PTS master trainers going. So thank you for being here. Speaking about the curriculum, well, comes to my mind some of the additions that we have made or adaptations that we have made. Two are the PTS gender version, in which we encourage completely the gender perspective for our PTS lessons. And we also developed a couple of years ago a DAI PTS curriculum that was more aimed to include some participants that comes from indigenous populations for some specific parts in southern of Mexico, but that was also replicated in some other countries. So we have those two adaptations for the gender and the AI versions. And we are also working, we have some new lessons under a new unit that is called digital natives, which connects completely with the last question and what Christina was mentioned, that we fully understand that all these human skills are now deeply connected with the technical and technological environment that we are developing in. So we have some new lessons that are being tested now for this completely new unit, and for the year that you mentioned, from there to here, we also develop all our digital curriculum from PTS. It was kind of pandemic also decisions that as many organizations we have to take to translate all this into digital solutions, and then we develop the PTS Concierge and the PTS Traveler curriculums that are fully into online modalities. So with all these variations, we now have a bigger menu to mix and to build these PTS trainings for young participants depending on their needs and their context. We have the full curriculum, all these changes that we have made with the years, and all the digital suite that we now combine in some cases for implementations. I hope it responds, and if Linda or Edmari would like to complement.
Yes, thank you, Hood. The only thing I would add to this is that one of the beauties of PTS is, one, it has remained relevant throughout these actually 2 decades. Like the foundation has remained relevant. We've seen this. And we are also, we have two elements. The first one is contextualization, in the sense of we have a lesson and we train facilitators to be able to make the adjustments that continue with the essence of the program or the curriculum, but also tailor it specifically to the community's culture to make sure that those examples are more in line and aligned basically with the culture. In other cases and other projects, we've also had to do work to revisit some of the lessons completely. And that also depends on the culture, the project, and the language as well. So we have some of those lessons in Arabic. The curriculum was reviewed to make sure that it was appropriate as well. So just two other examples in the in-person curriculum.
Thank you, Linda. I'm going to move us ahead to the next question here. I'm going a little bit out of order just to kind of keep themes together, but we'll do our best to get to all of the questions here. Christina, I'm going to start with you on the next one here, which is, can you tell us how IYF collaborates with educational institutions, government-run educational institutions in different countries to replicate our model at larger scales?
Great question. I'll say we would love to be doing more of this, but yes, there are a handful of examples where we've done this in lockstep with the Department of Ed in order to scale. A recent example of that is Jamaica, where Passport to Success in many instances is the curriculum that is used and is that teachers are trained on at the teacher training college level. We've also deployed in community colleges, for example, alongside their curriculum, particularly with like first-time college goers. So there are historical examples. And again, our goal is when you heard that this is like it works within an existing system. What we know is that to train on a specific career path alone, even just the training itself is like not nearly as sticky as combining it with life skills for the just how compelling it is to the young person to like keep butts in seats, to have stuff for that teacher to do that really, as I said, meets young people we are and makes the content very exciting. So we have deployed that with Government of Education formally. In some places, it's been adapted to parts of their curriculum, and we would love to see more of that. And then I'll also just on the previous question, I'll just add one more thing, which is two that we see come up over and over and over again that are extremely highly ranked by young people are managing complex emotions and conflict resolution. And so you can imagine when we deploy that in Accra or when we deploy that, in other places in the world, like the teacher or facilitator has a lot of freedom. And in fact, we're telling them to make those examples relevant. There's a spectrum of things that they can. But that sort of thing is like young people are responding and we're adapting with the specific examples we give, the specific context. But we know across the board in all of those countries that young people want more attention and energy and peer-to-peer agency around things like managing their emotions and true conflict resolution. Do anybody else on the IYF team want to comment on the collaborations with Department of Ed?
I'm actually going to hop in because there's a follow-up question here
Great.
from Eduardo
Go.
Calderon Cuevas, which I think I'm going to start with Judith on this one too, but Linda and Mari, please. Could you give us an example of integrating PTS in a curricula for a TVET public school, which we absolutely have done in Mexico? So I was going to say Judith can tell you a little bit more about that.
Sure, we have in Mexico, and I'm also thinking in Brazil. I'm going to start with Brazil.
Oh, yeah. Great example.
That in our current program in the state of Pernambuco in Brazil, they have fully created a new module named Projeto Trabalho e Sociedade, which recognizes the PTS letters for the name of the topic in the module. And what we have done with them is to train master trainers inside the staff of the Secretary of Education. So we co-created with them this new unit of PTS expert within the Secretary of Education, which means that their staff train the new teachers among the years when it's needed. And now we have 100% of the technical schools in the state of Pernambuco using PTS as their formal curriculum for this life skills training. So we are like with them, training, certifying, accompany them, but the fully transfer of the capacity, it's being it's been put into their own people, their own staff, and they have created this unit of PTS trainers in their staff of the secretary. That's one example. We have some others, for example, in Mexico, that when we have worked for many years with some public systems. If there are some people from Mexico here, probably you will recognize the names: CONALEP, Colegio de Bachilleres, CECITE, which are public subsystems that they have always also been part of our programs in Mexico for many years, and they have also internal PTS master trainers. We usually are with them. When when the people changes, we train new people, but there are internal capacity, and that's something really important for us in each of our projects, that we create this capacity in the institutions that we work with to generate this systemic change, not only depending on the project itself, but in the capacity that the people develop inside of the institutions that we work with. I have those two examples in Mexico and Brazil, but probably my colleagues have some others.
We do have some questions asking about examples of PTS outside of Latin America. It is kind of a coincidence that the ones we've shared today are Latin America focused, but we have operated PTS around the world. I don't know, Christina, Mari, Linda, if anyone can share examples of how you talked about the Arabic the Arabic curriculum refinement, Linda, but how we adapt for different geographies and cultural institutions. That would be, I think, a question that would help answer more than one of the questions in there.
Yes. So this has been a project that I worked with a while back. So hopefully I'll have all the details fresh still. But we work in Mauritania, for example. We connected with an organization, a local organization there, and they also were working with, I think it was the Ministry of Labor in Mauritania. And so we connected with them. We did the pre-work, which was actually assessing the whole curriculums, tweak some of the lessons that was just to match it and make sure that it was a proper or appropriate fit for the culture. That was a great job that we did with a work group. And then after that, we implemented this particular project was to actually train trainers so that they could reach 60,000 young people in Mauritania. So this is an example that we've been able to accomplish. In addition to that, for example, we partner with Commons through their tech program. And in those particular, or in the cases of Commons, they have different school sites across the world. And so I can mention we've actually partnered with them in 27 different school sites across the world, not only in Latin America, but also in Africa, Europe, and Asia as well. So that's another example.
In Jamaica, we paired Passport to Success with literacy training with young adults, really 8th, 9th, 10th graders that were not reading on level. And again, how do you really make a cohesive classroom environment that is compelling to young people, no matter what the subject matter is that you're pairing it with? That, and then also kind of as a part of the regular curriculum with middle schoolers. And another example that comes to mind I mentioned is in the US community colleges. We've deployed Passport to Success with first-time college goers. This is a completely brand new environment. You are in the deep end of the pool. How are you adjusting to that? And one of the magic things about PTS is like you've got a whole bunch of different, selections of what you can put in the classroom, and you get to pick and choose what's most relevant to this group. If there's 100 different sessions, what are my 20 most relevant ones for this audience? So those are some other contexts in which we see it deployed.
Okay, if y'all are okay on the panelists, I'm going to move on to some additional questions here. So we've got Haptemu Tadis says congratulations on the impact and love how we are demonstrating soft skills as human skills because they are a profound foundation to the workplace. Can you share the link to take the course? So I was gonna say, Christina, I don't know if you want to start with that or who wants to take that question.
We do have this methodology where it can be deployed online, but is usually done through a formal program. Hadith, why don't you expand on the entry points to this curriculum?
Sure, just as I mentioned before, each of our PTS trainers needs to be trained at first. That's why it's needed to be part of a formal program where we could set up the needs before any of our young participants could receive the curriculum, and that's part of our quality assurance process. So we could probably share in the following materials the online courses, the online version that are free for everyone, but the in-person PTS experience is always attached to this formal program that we have to co-design with any of you that might be interested. So we'll be sharing ways to engage with us and hopefully create this experience for the participants that you have in mind.
I just shared in the chat in response to that question a link to some example lessons from PTS Traveler, which is the online version that Hudith and Christina were alluding to. But as mentioned, it's not really an online program or intended to be an online program. It's very much a facilitated experiential learning experience, not to be redundant there. So it is difficult for us to send you a link to take it online, but you can see some of the online versions of the content at the link that I just shared.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just, when I talked about sitting with these groups of trainers, Eric, you were a trainer, you mentioned that online. It's, part of what we do, right, is in acknowledging the moment that these young people are in, is it's really peer to peer that they are really experiencing that alongside their peers. Even if it's online, it's still live and facilitated in a lot of cases that they are talking and we're building kind of the agency but also the safe space to be able to open up other things really live and in person. And when I sat down with both trainers and young people very recently, that was like a incredibly rich and meaningful part of it. The sort of peer-to-peer acknowledgement of what folks are going through and the various, tools that they are using to move through that is a big piece of it. So we'll just encourage folks to try to experience it in some point, but that's part of the secret sauce that we see really working.
Okay, another question we have here is from Alazar Mikanin. Thank you very much for that presentation. It's a pleasure learning about the impact. The question is about Ethiopia, where there are many personal development training programs targeting youth. And this is kind of a broad question to all of you, but what makes PTS unique as compared to other development programs? Christina, do you want to start and then the rest of the team can chime in?
Thank you, Elazar. I have been CEO for 2 years, and I have heard so much about Passport to Success, and knew about it before, but I have really also been trying to wrap my hands around this, that secret sauce. So I would go back to the fourth, the kind of four key components that we mentioned in the presentation. I can tell you that anecdotally, when you talk to people, the difference with Passport to Success. So for me, it is the personal experience that from master trainers to recent participants to distant participants in the past, they're all saying that basically like this really unlocked a way of thinking for my classroom, for the young people that I work with, or for myself individually. So there is a way that Passport to Success is written that this is not an empty vessel. We are meeting young people where they are. The content is very flexible to your current context. There is something in that combination that really works. And so me coming in as CEO, like what is undeniable to me is the outcomes of this, the success rates, the job placement rates, the ability to deploy it in so many different languages and cultures. That is just undeniable evidence that this is a thing that's working and unlocking young people for, that's ranked well by them and ranked well by the employers, right? You saw that McDonald's piece. So we are constantly eager to learn more granular detail about what specifically is it, but I would highlight that really meeting, young people where they are, that it's written that way, that we combine life skills with the technical skills to get the outcomes, as the secret sauce that is helping it work. But we would also love a long-term research partner, a longitudinal research partner. If you know academic institutions or others, that would be, we would also love that.
Mari, can you chime in here? I know you have a lot of experience applying PTS in a variety of programs.
Yeah, just to build on what Christina has just shared, and also a lot of what Linda also spoke on. PTS is highly contextualized and adaptable to various contexts, industries, cultures, and needs and challenges. And I think what makes it unique as well is our approach to engaging key stakeholders in the process. I talked about the Youth Opportunity Initiative, where we actually co-designed a curriculum with the funder. I also talked about the Jóvenes con Entrega example, where IYF actively engaged stakeholders in the logistics industry as well as in the TVET systems to make sure that the curriculum was tailored to the needs of both participants and employers. And so I think I would just highlight IYF's role as a convener and also a stakeholder engager in these processes to make sure that programs are responsive to specific needs.
Thank you, Mari. One final question, which is aligning beautifully with having 4 minutes left in our time together. Let me skip to the meat of this question. Recently, I have heard employers talk about curiosity as a skill they want to see in youth. How do you showcase curiosity in an interview? And how are you working with employers to teach them how to evaluate these skills objectively? I don't know if that's something I was gonna say. I don't know who to point that question to. So does Linda, I'm gonna pick on you. Do you have any thoughts on partnering with employers on this one? And if this is something we have to kind of dig deeper into our team and get back to y'all on, we can do that too. But I wanted to open the floor if folks have any thoughts on this.
Well, thank you for the question. So yes, in regards to curiosity, creativity, it's also one of the skills that we're seeing kind of like increasing, going up, right? And with that curiosity, that also leads to problem solving, to how you think, how you perceive a problem, how do you solve it? So innovation in general. So that is accurate. In terms of how we can contribute to this, I would speak to what Edmari was saying, which is that engagement. Being one of the benefits of working with us is that we're there for you to support technical assistance as well. So we're able to talk to the employer. We are able to analyze what are some of the gaps that exist in that talent pipeline, for example, and then being able to create programs that actually support the needs of the employer. In terms of how to evaluate, I think that's a conversation that as we continue to see what are those skills that are needed for the future, we will continue having for sure. I don't have a specific answer to how to talk or with the employer about how to do this, but definitely engaging them and ensuring that we're able to see the young person as an individual that has their own experiences, that has their own skills, strengths, and that are able to contribute as well into this conversation. So I would add that element as well.
We'll jump in here as well. Sam, thank you for the question. So I do think so having been in multiple sessions where Passport to Success is being deployed with young people live, it constantly invites them to be curious. What's coming up for you when I say blank, right? Like not a delivered lesson. It is proactive in saying, and I told you that some of the ones that constantly come up as the most productive for young people are managing conflicts, managing complex emotions. And a lot of that is literally saying, what's happening for you right now? What is happening when you have a complex emotion? How are you grappling with that? So the methodology itself invites them to constantly be curious. It is like a big part of it. And then we do see that, right? We see employers saying, wow, they're really able to, speak thoughtfully about a thing that was bothering them, advocate on their behalf, also be curious about what's happening. Why is that policy that way? So it is really an in-depth part of the methodology itself to pause, question, reflect, before you jump in. But it's a great point. Curiosity is a we really do see that interwoven throughout.
Okay, we are right at time. So what I want to do is just share a couple of resources to wrap up. Thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We will be sending out an email either later today or tomorrow with the slides, contact information for us, obviously, and the recording if you'd like to share that with any of your colleagues. We'd love to hear your continued thoughts and engage in continued discussion on what you all have learned in doing life skills development for youth or even using PTS, as we heard from some folks. And also just want to state that we are always interested in learning how we can adapt the program to new environments and new circumstances. So we would love to engage in a conversation with you all about that as well. Finally, you can go to a needs to be updated website called passporttosuccess.org. We're currently working on it to see a few more case studies and to see links to those example online lessons that I referred to. So we'll share that link as well. Please know that that website does need some substantial updating, so we appreciate your feedback on it, but we know it's not totally as modern as it should be. We have had a lot of other irons in the fire. So thank you all so much for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we appreciate your time so much.
Thank you for joining. Thank you. Excited to learn together, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.